and welcome to the Zoominar, Back on Our Feet for Tomorrow's Leaders. MPDC's Back on Our Feet plan is about helping households and businesses hit by the COVID-19 economic storm. We have a proposed package of projects worth about $20 million, and we're now asking for feedback on these. See details on the projects here. We'll put a link in the chat box. This Zoominar will focus on how MPDC's proposed Back on Our Feet projects will impact youth and young professionals. Councillor Stacey Hitchcock will give an overview of the plan at the beginning of this webinar. Then there will be Q&A style facilitated by myself, Adam Harris, an independent facilitator. I please urge you to get involved through a number of different ways. So the first thing I'd like to point out to you is on your top right-hand corner, you'll see a thing that will either say speaker view or gallery view. This will give you the opportunity to toggle between focusing on the whole panel or just looking at the person that's speaking at that moment in time. You'll also see on the bottom that there's a number of different icons. The first thing I'd like to point you out to is the chat box. If you could open the chat box, this will pop up on the right-hand side. And then in the to box, if you could just put all panelists and attendees, this will ensure that you'll be able to see all of the comments that come through. And the first thing I'd like you to do is just put in that chat box your name and where you're from. The other thing is I will be putting up a number of polls through this session. Once I let these polls go live, it will pop up, and please just click on and put your view and opinion across. And thirdly, and probably most importantly, is the Q&A box. If you press the Q&A, this will pop up and give you the opportunity to ask questions. What will then happen is I will facilitate these questions as we go through the session. The more questions we get, the more engagement. And remember, this is an opportunity for you to share, ask opinions, and get the councillors' views on some of the things that you think about the proposals. So please, if I could hand over to Stacey, who's going to just go through the first number of slides.
Awesome. Kia ora, morena, everyone. Firstly, thank you very much for joining us, giving up an hour of your time this morning. We're really grateful for everyone who's joined us today. And first, I guess we just want to say thank you also for everyone out in our community who's helped really curb this COVID-19 curve and got us to where we are now at level 2. Of course, even though it feels like it's been a while these last few weeks, we're coming out the other end and we're getting back on our feet, which is what today's session is all about. But of course, things have changed. Our current environment has changed, our financial position has changed. So what we've done is really had a relook at our annual plan, and we've got some back on our feet proposals and initiatives, which of course is why we're here today and keen to get your feedback. So what we'll do is we will just quickly run through what those are. You've probably already got that info. We'll have a bit of a refresh and then intro to the panel, and then we'll crack straight into what we're here to do is actually just listen to what you guys would like to talk to us about and ask questions. So as you can see here up on the screen, it is this whole Back on Our Feet is about helping our households and businesses that have been hit by the COVID-19 economic storm. As you can see there, we've had about a $5.4 million income drop from what's happened over the last few weeks. So that is quite significant. So what we have done is a bit of a reshuffle around our financial position. So what we did is we had a proposed rates back in February before this all happened, but what we've done is we've pretty much halved what the rates was going to be, and that's now sitting at about 2.5% for the average home, and that's a total rates rise across the board of 3.95. So as you can see there, that's down from what was proposed at 6.47. Our Back on Our Feet planners are worth around $20 million. Already in place, which we decided a few weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, was $8 million for a rates relief package. That's about those that have been hit financially around COVID-19 are able to defer payment of their rates at a really low interest rate just to help over these next 1 to 3 years, which is great. And also 165,000 to venture taranaki. So the 5 key points we've got for our Back on Our Feet, you can see here across, which will go across each one. So we'll just flip to the next slide. So the first one is around buying local for MPDC contractors. So it's about procurement, which is about how we've got a job to do and we go out for contracts. And what this is proposing is that we put a weighting towards those who are local to get these jobs. So this helps with getting our local people back into employment and for local businesses to be able to access the money that's coming in and the jobs that we're trying to get shovel ready and get on our feet. So the first one is about continuing to buy local and Taranaki contract as an advantage when bidding for NPDC contracts. So the next one up is keeping tradies in work, but also keeping our homes warmer and greener. So we already had this in place about you could apply to council to be able to get a really low interest loan that you could pay off over a few years. But this is extending that. It was $5,000, but we're going to put it up to $10,000 loan at, as you can see, interest free over 5 years or with low interest over 9 years. So this covers, as you can see, solar power, heating, hot water systems. This is twofold. This is the opportunity for people to be able to get their homes warmer, drier, greener, but also people who are able to take up this opportunity, gets our local tradies into work. So that's another proposal that we've got, estimated about 7.5 million. Right, the next one up is slashing and dropping fees to support businesses. Now, as you know, as you've probably seen in the media, some of the hardest hit has been around our retail and hospitality and around our CBDs. So we have a food license. So we're going to cut that to just $1 a year to help out the hospitality sector. I understand it's around 155. On-street dining, temporary road closures or events and parking, events for parking, park fees, sorry, will be axed. So usually there was a fee if you wanted to like run an event, do on-street dining. We really want to try and encourage that kind of activity. 2 hours free processing for resource consents. So that's trying to get people the work they want to do around their houses, kind of helping with reducing those costs to kind of get people to do that work around their houses. And free engineering plans included with subdivision applications. So the first $1,000 of building consent processing fees will be wiped, and a delay in payments from property developers when land is subdivided. So some help there around the construction industry. And then this one is around more and faster money for grassroots groups. So a lot of people who are on the Zoom today are working within the community sector, and we know that there's been a big hit there. It's hard to be able to get the funding in that you're required to keep going over these next few months. So what we've done is we're wanting to get some more money into our community funding. Also, we're going to be doing an extra round of funding for those that are most at need within our community. So money into our community. And then our last one, I believe, yes it is keeping our main street buildings looking good. So this is about funding going in to help with our CBD regeneration and building owners who need structural work and earthquake strengthening work. So we're going to delay the earthquake strengthening, but also there's a fund available to do some upkeep on the structure and the exterior and interior work of our CBD buildings. So this will really help because our CBD, which we often refer to as our third place, we often have our home, we have our work, and then our other place of recreation and activity. We really want to bolster our CBDs across New Plymouth, Waitara, Inglewood, Owakura, to make sure they're places that people want to go to, that we can support. So this is another way of doing that, which this cost is about $50,000. So of course you've probably got all this information in front of you anyway. So I'm going to now hand it back to Adam so we can get on with the Q&A.
Fantastic. Thank you, Stacey. So you'll notice in the chat box that there's a link there to the council survey. So this is a consultation process. And one of the things that's important is that we want to get your feedback. So if you click on the link to the consultation piece, for everybody that enters, there's a chance to win $500 to spend locally here within the region. I'm going to launch the first poll now. So as I said before, you'll see something that will pop up on your screen. So please make sure that you vote accordingly. Reminder, questions, please open the Q&A box and put the questions through. Good that we've just started to get the first couple through. So I'm going to kick off straight away. Sam, I'll come to you first and then we'll go round. What defines a local contractor? How would this affect contractors out of the district geographic boundary, but still in Taranaki or nearby regions like Waikato, Manawatu, specialist skills and tools that just aren't local? Sam, thoughts on that, please, if you could unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that question. So when we look at local contractors, I think where we're trying to target are the local people that work within the New Plymouth District Council area. That's the way that I would see a local contractor. So this funding that we're putting forward to the community is available to support our local people. So I would see very much the focus on trying to support local contractors. I don't have a definition of what a local contractor is. However, I see it very much focused within the New Plymouth District Council and trying to feed back to our local people to make sure that we're keeping them employed and, you know, boosting whatever we can locally.
Thank you. Stacey?
Sorry, there's always one. Just adding on to Councillor Bennett, the waiting for procurement is the business may not have to be based within Taranaki, but if they're employing, you know, a percentage of local people, so it doesn't have to necessarily be a company that may be based here. Part of the waiting is that they're actually providing employment for local people. So it may be a national organisation or business or local.
Okay, thank you. Colin, if I could come to you, just piggybacking on that, the aspect of the weighting system for local companies, could you just explain that a little bit more, please?
Sorry, I'm not quite sure. Look, I'd like to hand that over to Richard to answer that one, if that's possible.
Yep, Richard, if you could unmute yourself.
Thank you for that, Councillor Johnston. The weighting is 10%. So the advantage is to the weighted to the local contractor is 10%. The local contractor is mainly, it's the supply lines also have to be part of the when they're doing the procurement, will be actually part of that, and so that if you're sourcing your product or supply that you go from within our local area, that also qualifies. It's a temporary measure to allow our small advantage to our local contractors, so we can actually keep them in work. There's not much point in having a Wellington contractor come in and be just marginally above a local contractor, and our local contractors who are trying to keep employing their staff and continuing in business until they fully recover, and putting them out of business. So no, we wanted this is a temporary measure, so it's loaded towards our local contractors.
So a point that's just come through, and if I could come to you, Anneka, I appreciate the fact that this is temporary to kind of boost the local economy. Is this something that may well be considered moving forward and continuing the weighting system?
I'm not sure whether we've actually had that conversation, but my personal opinion is that yes, I think it is something that you know, we should be considering long term to keep, you know, that work in our district. I guess there's a lot of things. I guess it's sort of a wait and see how this all sort of plays out as to making decisions as to whether it will continue. But I think in the near future, it's here to stay, would be my take.
Okay. Colin, another question that's come through, if I could come to you first. I'm a student currently looking at tertiary study options for next year. I'd like to go into a trade, but I want to make sure that there'll be a job for me when I finish study. If your plan goes ahead, will extra jobs be created in Taranaki, and what trades? Do you want...
Yes, I would really hope that that can happen, because there's plenty of fantastic opportunities for people to get into it, because like over the last couple of years and everything like that, I've been amazed how many people haven't got right into apprenticeships and that sort of thing. And I think that this is a really great opportunity for those school leavers and those young people that want to get into the tradie way of working and everything, will have that opportunity to get back. And I'd like to see that really, really happen. And we should be pushing and pushing and pushing to get those local engineering firms and electrical firms all up and running, so that they can take these apprenticeships on, and I'm sure that they will be able to get those jobs when they become fully qualified and everything, because I'm looking forward to that, because I've seen it happen over the last couple of years, but not as much as what I would like to see it happen.
Thank you. Sam?
Yeah, I'd like to concur with Councillor Johnston's comments. I think as a young person now, coming into our community, one of those initiatives about keeping tradies and working, making homes warmer and greener, that's something that we'd like to push, because that will get people that may have lost their jobs through COVID back into the system where they can have new skills and new jobs. I think that moving forward as a council, we are reimagining what we're going to look like, and I think it's important that we understand that we have applied to our government for some shovel-ready projects, and I think that depending on the outcome of those projects, I think there is a massive opportunity when those shovels go on the ground for young people like yourself to be retrained into a new industry and get work, and I think that is extremely, and it's an exciting time. COVID hasn't been kind to us, but I do think that it's going to bring different opportunities to us in our community, particularly around tradies, around getting new qualifications, getting back into tertiary education. So I think the future is bright for our young people when it comes to providing opportunities. And I see the New Plymouth District Council as providing those avenues within our community to help our young people get into employment and give them worthwhile opportunities.
Thank you. Stacey, coming to you. None of this proposal says anything about encouraging employers release or encouragement to take people on from an apprenticeship perspective, or getting the employment market back up and running. Is there a reason why nothing has been considered, or are you open to ideas?
I think if you look, you probably pointed towards our procurement policy. So what we can do within this is around that 10% to local weighting. What this probably doesn't explain is our relationship with MSD and different kind of government organisations. So this is 5 packages of initiatives that sit here, and there's a whole bunch of work that's going on outside of this. This is one, I would say, one very small part. We have several hundred million in application to government around these shovel-ready projects. We're in close contact and relationship with Ministry of Social Development, with MB, around the schemes that government is usually at the pointy end of rolling out apprenticeship schemes and trade schemes. We're working closely with WIT as a local tertiary education provider. So I think, yes, I don't think it's probably council's role potentially within this procurement policy. I think what we've opened up is that local side, and then we will work alongside the government agencies like MB and MSD, because I know that they are pushing, I mean, they've already said they're going to roll out things around trades. So that's the government's, that's their side of responsibility, but we work in partnership with central government on that. So definitely. Okay.
Anneka?
And just to piggyback on that, and we're absolutely open to ideas as well from young people. Yeah, we very much welcome young people's voice and their feedback and what, you know, how else we could do things or get things going.
So just sticking with you, Anneka, what role are you doing with WIT with regards to determining demand for tradespeople and forging links?
At this stage, I can't answer that question. I am unsure. I'm not sure, Stacey, whether you've got a bit more information on that.
Yeah, sure. So that's probably sits within our strategy team at council. So it's more of an officer level directly to council, and we understand also that our Mayor Neil works directly with the CE of WIT. So that's at that governance and officer level. But like as what Councillor Carlson just said, that question around our procurement policy and points of apprenticeships and trades, that's a good point to make. And that's the kind of feedback that we're wanting, is that sparks the idea of, is that something that could potentially be a part of a procurement policy, or is there a weighting to those types of things that if we're wanting to see a certain type of outcome? So that's really good feedback.
Richard, coming to you, what sort of, actually just coming to Colin first to piggyback on that. If you want to unmute yourself, Colin.
Sorry, I just wanted to add on, like, with all those plumbing, the carpentering, the electrician, the automotive industry that we've got out there, surely there's quite a few jobs there that haven't been tapped into over the last 2 or 3 years. And that's what we want to try and push. And working with WIT, a lot of those things can come forward and everything, but it's up to really those industries to want those apprentices coming through so that they can really push and get into the workforce. Thanks.
Richard, what incentives are being offered or considered from a general perspective for people to start employing more people during this period?
the first point I should make is that what we're trying to do is actually retain jobs. The first thing, which is where the procurement weighting, 10% weighting to local, that was to retain jobs in Taranaki, and especially in the New Plymouth district. That's actually creating jobs, I think, will come later. But let's try and keep as much as possible of what we've got. We already know from Infometrics, the economic forecasting company, that there is likely to be upwards of 9% unemployed in Taranaki. That's huge. If you say it quickly, it doesn't bear much. But if you say it slowly and actually start to analyse it, it is actually huge. 1 in 10 people that want work can't get work. That's what it's telling you, which is double what we have now, which is critical for our economy, because it actually, those people are not producing, so they're not productive. Just get rid of that. Yeah.
Thank you.
So, I would like to follow on from the question about the person who asked whether we can guarantee a job at the end of a course. No, we can't. The advice that we can give you is actually look to your careers advisor to see what jobs will be available when you finish your course. So do the courses where the work will apply. There's no point in doing a course that there is no job at the end of it. So actually look to a careers advisor, a vocational advisor before you start, and then do that course that pertains to that job.
Sam and then Stacey.
Yeah, I just want to support what Councillor Jordan was saying. You know, we are looking at that 9 to 10% unemployment that will be upon us shortly as we move forward through the next 2 or 3 years. And I think that's where, for young people coming through and the not so young that may have lost their jobs, this is where I think the tertiary education will have a big part to play in our community. And what I see, part of my vision with my colleagues is making sure that we can invest as a council back into our community to provide our young people, our young professionals, with those opportunities to work. So I think that council working with our tertiary education and WIT needs to be a very, very close relationship, and that needs to be a very good partnership. And as Councillor Hitchcock said, our worship, the Mayor, has a very good relationship with that, and I'm excited about that moving forward.
Right, cool. One other, I guess, a point around what Councillor Jordan said around looking to where the jobs are. Another area that the government announced, as you've seen recently in the budget, is around conservation and environment. So there's a considerable amount of investment going into that area, and Taranaki with our Taranaki Moonga project and work going around further around East Taranaki for predator-free may have very significant investment. So there's work going on at the moment around workforce development in the conservation environment space. So that's just another area to look out for that is a growing industry and needs people with skills. And we've got some great local education providers, especially around with local iwi, providing that education training. So just one space, another space to look out for. That especially regional council and other councils, especially in New Plymouth District Council, also we do predator-free. So just another branch of employment opportunity.
Great, thank you. Please keep on the questions coming through. It's good to see some really interesting ones. I'm now going to move the conversation on slightly. A couple of things around the greener sustainability in homes. So Colin, coming to you first, can you define greener for homes? Would this budget include consultations to help understand what your household needs as well as the practical work?
Yes, it's that sort of process has been going for a wee while, actually, and it's been quite successful in the past. There's lots of people out there that could do with insulation still though, and especially in our Waitara area here. There's quite a lot of work to be done in that respect, and like with the air conditioners that are going to be available, will keep houses warm and that sort of thing. I think it's a great idea. We're really pushing that for our district to get on board with that.
Thank you. Sam, can you give some clarity as to what is covered and what isn't covered?
Well, when we look at the keeping tradies and work making homes warmer and greener, I think it actually encapsulates what we mean by being more environmentally friendly. And when we look at things like solar power, heating, hot water systems, rainwater tanks, grey water systems, ventilation systems, charging for electric cars. They're very much our future when we talk about what green looks like for us. So that's how I would define what green, and that then matches back into making our homes warmer and greener for me. So, you know, we are starting to transition away from those traditional methods that we've kept our homes warmer and greener. And I think that we've captured that in the tradies' definition of what green looks like.
Thank you. Anneka, if question that's come through, if I came to the council with something that's not currently covered, but I can prove that it's green and sustainable, is this something that would be looked at?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we don't have all the ideas. You know, council doesn't have all the ideas. Us councillors don't have all the ideas, and we fully welcome people's feedback on how we can be more green, more sustainable, and I guess future focused from here moving forward. And now really is the time to come to council and to bring that feedback to us, for sure.
Thank you. Stacey, coming to you, another question that's come through. What are you doing to make the planet greener? I'm assuming this is towards MPDC.
That's a broad question. Over the last couple of terms of council, we've been definitely heading in that direction. It's, I guess in the last few years, we've been putting in our climate change action program. So we've got an action plan. We put funding towards that last year. We've done our zero waste, significant work into zero waste. We're building soon a dirty MRF, which will take all our commercial waste. So in the area of waste and waste minimisation, we've done a lot of work. In the last term, we started head towards looking at our low emissions economy and our climate change adaptation plan, and working with Venture Taranaki on how we get to a low emissions future by 2050. So I would probably direct that person, I'm not sure who that is, we can give you a link onto our page where it explains all the initiatives we've been doing around becoming a greener council. I mean, we've got an aim, Councillor Hanley has been leading this, but I think it's within 3 years that all of our council venues are completely zero waste. You know, we're looking at the way we use our energy, back in hydrogen. Yeah, so a lot of work. So we can probably post the link up there in the chat to our website where it explains all the work we've been doing.
Fantastic. Richard, coming to you, apart from MPDC Back on Your Feet page, where should we be heading or pointing people to get more information on how to apply for either the sustainable home opportunity of the trades, the training scheme, and will WIT have the information if youth are contacting them? It would be a challenge if they are unaware of what we're talking about.
I can't speak for WIT, but I'd be very, very surprised if somebody inquires about a course and what careers will be available, that they could not answer those questions. That's exactly their field of play.
Okay, fantastic. I think if Lauren can put the link on for the sustainable home opportunity in the chat box, that would be great.
And I would expand on that too, that it's actually healthy homes, that it has a twofold effect. That if you're putting solar heating in and installation, that is about healthy homes, which is a healthy children, healthy adults, which also keeps our hospital and our community healthy. There's a twofold gain with that project, and it's fiscally neutral.
Great. Sam, coming to you first, and I'd like to get all of your thoughts and opinions on this one, actually. Is there support for entrepreneurs starting up in Taranaki?
Well, the short answer is yes, and I think the group that's joined us today are our youth and our young professionals. So the question I would put back to the people that have joined us today, what I need to know to make good decisions is, what do you do as a young person or as a young professional? Because once we can narrow that down and we know where you're going to be working or where you are working, I think that helps us narrow down about where we can help you the best. And yes, Venture Taranaki is one of our council controlled organisations, and they have been doing a fantastic job on providing businesses in this in the whole of Taranaki with some very good opportunities. But I would put the challenge out there to those people that join us today. Tell us where you're working, where you might be wanting to work in the future, and then we can target specific advantages that we can help you out. And that would be my best advice today.
And Sam, where would you be suggesting that they give that feedback to? And how?
Feedback. So there's the traditional ways that you can give feedback. You can email the councillors. You can go in and see the councillor and provide your feedback. You can use the website. But and I'm sure that I would have the support of my councillors that sit with me here today, is that give us a call. You know, we're all available to you to have a chat. And I think that when we look at engaging with our community, there's nothing better than to talk to the people that need to get to us. So if you're not sure or you're not comfortable with a particular way of providing feedback, please call us and have a chat. Then we can take you down that avenue about getting really good feedback through to council that makes a difference when we need to go and make decisions. So give us a call. That's the good one.
Thank you. Anneka?
Yeah, just to piggyback on what Councillor Bennett was saying, the New Plymouth District Council has been funding Venture Taranaki to really help businesses, and surely there's support for entrepreneurs coming to Taranaki and wanting to invest and grow our economy. I guess now is as good a time than any, because there is that support and there is that funding there to help them.
Stacey?
I just chucked in the link asking Lauren to put the link to Venture Taranaki. I think they're the main part that we fund them to do most of this economic development work, and they have mentors available that you can ask for help for, and they'll mentor you through it. They've got funding for startup businesses, and there's also the Startup Working group, which hopefully Lauren can flick the link into that as well. So that's a run through up at Manifold, and they do amazing work. They do a whole weekend of just, you know, getting your ideas in startups, but also just support throughout the year of like-minded people who are entrepreneurs. And they also run, like, I don't know if it's weekly or fortnightly or monthly, but like sessions where you just come together and talk about what your ideas are and give support to each other. So a great group to get linked into if you're entrepreneurial at all.
Thank you. Sam, then Colin.
Yeah, I just want to support what Councillor Hitchcock was saying, and I'd also challenge those people out there that we have Venture Taranaki. They are a wonderful organisation. They support this council. But remember about buying local too. So we have some very, very good business advisors in our community. And I would urge you to reach out to those organisations and support them to help support you. So Venture Taranaki is one avenue, but have a look around. We have some amazing business mentors in this province. So if you want to support them, they will support you. Thank you.
Great. Colin?
Yep, I agree with the conversations that all of the councillors have had there. It's really important that Venture Taranaki come into it, because there's some real professional and fantastic people there that work there, and they are there to help in that sort of thing. I'd like to hear a wee bit more from youth and that sort of thing, especially in our district areas as well, because we're outside the New Plymouth area, for instance, to hear from them, because there is some little problems there that we'd like to try and get right for them. And it's all about chatting, all about coming to us and talking to us and to see what we can do. Thanks.
Richard?
Thank you, Adam. Yeah, the VTT, we have a sector which is for business startups. So if you go along there and you've got a great idea, they will walk you through it, they'll analyse it, they'll give you financial advice about product advice. And it's specialised, so they will help you ascertain whether your ideas are viable, because before you start sinking your money in. If it is a viable option, they will also point to where you can actually get finance to get your startup actually underway. And normally in the times of adversity, as we're heading into now, that is the time when we have numerous startups will occur, because people's ideas will actually come to the fore. They will actually see that they have to change of direction, and so that idea that they've had simmering in the back of their brain for a number of years, that actually might be the time to actually bring it to the fore now. So in times of adversity, you actually get huge improvements and new ideas coming to the fore.
Great. Anneka, just coming to you, point that's been made. Yesterday and today, councillors have mentioned for us, the public, to contact them directly. That's going to be potentially overwhelming. Is there a general application stream?
Yeah, generally it's calling the council on their feedback line, which I think is in the chat, 06758 6060, is that right? 96060, sorry, so 7596060, and you can call in, you know, your feedback there. I think between, you know, 15 of us councillors, maybe don't pick one person and everyone go to that one person, but, you know, branch out. We've got emails, we've got Facebooks, we've got Instagrams, well, some of us do. We've got phones. There are many ways that you can contact, depending what you prefer. And we do, this is our job. We want you to talk to us. We want that feedback. We are available, a good chunk of the time to speak through these things, and we encourage that. So spread it out between all of us, and that line for the council is a good one also.
Thank you. Sam?
Yeah, thanks, Adam. Just supporting what Councillor Jordan said about VTT, my message to our young people today would be, please approach the Taranaki Chamber of Commerce. The Taranaki Chamber of Commerce is a wonderful avenue into exposing you into the business world throughout, not only the New Plymouth district, but throughout Taranaki. You know, they have around 900 members. They are very supportive of young people and new startups, and the council, VTT and the chamber, you know, we work together, we are partners, and I would, urge our young people to go along, have a talk to Arun and the team about how they can help them too. And from my own experience, and I've been a member of the Taranaki Chamber of Commerce for many years, for me as a business person, it is the most cost-effective way for me to grow our business, and I think they are wonderful and they should be tapped into. Use them to your advantage, please.
Fantastic. Stacey, coming to you, I know that you've seen this point in the chat, but I just wanted to bring it up. VT will support business only. If you're a trust or a community group, you can help via the Wheelhouse or TSBCT, who are currently providing a voucher system that provides professional support. Anything to add on that?
No, just a great point. We focus on businesses, and the Wheelhouse are fabulous for support for those in community groups and not-for-profits who, you're right, often get not forgotten in these conversations when we're talking entrepreneurs, but especially a lot of entrepreneurs now, it's about social enterprise. So definitely head along to the Wheelhouse and get them the support there. Also, I just put a note in that the initiatives we're talking about at the moment, we're going out to the community for feedback, which will help inform if we need to change them or amend it in any way for a final decision mid-June to kick off 1st July. So what we're talking about right now hasn't begun yet. We'll kick off for the next financial year, 1 July.
Fantastic. And just as a reminder, we'll post again in the chat box the link to the survey so that you can take some of your thoughts and processes, put them into the questionnaire. And remember, for all those people that enter, you've got a chance to win $500 worth of vouchers to be spending locally. Richard, coming to you, I understand this is an NPDC plan moving forward, but is there collaboration with other Taranaki councils, and are they all part of this plan?
No, they're not part of this plan. This is the new NPDC annual plan. But do we collaborate with other councils? Yes, we do. And we have a huge amount of synergies with other councils where we can actually share contractors and the like. We do. You'd be very surprised about the people, the number on the road. The roads especially is one of the big ones where we actually share contractors. We share water infrastructure. We also share. We share ideas. We're not insular. We're actually, Taranaki region is a very close-knit community.
Fantastic. Colin, coming to you, there are a number of youth in the MPDC and other districts that would appreciate being able to have a say in council. Would a youth council be something that MPDC would be considering from the 1st of July?
It's a great thing to have for the council, and as a councillor over the years that I've been on it, I've really liked the interaction that we've had from the youth groups, and there was a term that they were cut right out of it altogether, and I'd like to see them come back in. We have discussed it a little bit and everything like that, but we haven't really got it underway, have we? So I'd like to see it happen. Let's get it underway.
Anneka?
Yeah, we're definitely in talks and kind of just starting the process. Well, really now we've sort of got a bit delayed over with the COVID-19 situation, and so that's very much on the agenda as part of sort of youth engagement. Whether it's a council or a committee, we're not sure, but we welcome any feedback that youth have and any ideas that they have and how we can engage with them more as part of that process. So yeah, it's a sort of watch the space at the moment.
Sam?
Yeah, I would just echo Councillor Carlson's sentiments there. I think that, you know, the youth are our future and they need to have a voice. And since I've been in council, I've been really impressed with the community circle that council run. So that's not to do with youth, but it does bring like-minded people in the same room in the chamber. And maybe that's something that we can do. We could have a community circle for our youth that we get together, the councillors come along and we do what we're doing now. I'm just putting it out there for an idea. I think that would work well. It's not a formal process, but I think that would start the conversations and it would be not arduous to get that moving.
Fantastic. Okay, Richard, coming to you. Where are we at with selling the new houses in Marfell? Given that one of the young techies working on the project couldn't afford to buy one for his family, is there a thought to create a mixed model of ownership so younger people have an opportunity to live in a warm new home?
Asking the wrong people. That's the Housing Corporation. The New Plymouth District Council does not own the houses, nor is building the houses in Marfell. We've assisted by way of infrastructure, but we're not the ones that are building the houses nor selling the houses. I have to ask the Housing Corporation of New Zealand about that one. Sorry, okay. Asking the wrong people that question.
Okay, Sam, anything to add on that? You're just nodding your head a lot.
I'm nodding because I absolutely 100% agree with Councillor Jordan.
Okay, Stacey?
Yeah, around the housing. So council, we own around 140 housing for the elderly units. So we are looking at the moment at that housing stock to make sure it's warm and dry for the future. Like Councillor Jordan said, social housing and obviously Kainga Order, which is Housing New Zealand, is essentially government run. But again, we want to make sure that we're part of the conversation for the wellbeing for all of our community that we have here, even as council. So what we've done around housing is we've got certain levers that we can pull. So it's like our district plan. We're trying to do things that we understand where the housing needs are, and that is around 1 to 2 bedroom homes and affordable housing. So we're doing things in our district plan to try and make sure that we can move the market in that direction. But also, we will, and we're having conversations at the moment with Ministry of Social Development, the likes of Bishop's Action Foundation and Catalyst Homes and other housing organisations, because we want to be a part of this conversation. We may not be able to build all these homes because, like Councillor Jordan said, our responsibility is around infrastructure, the water, the road, but it doesn't mean that we can't, lobby is the right word, but it's like that, lobby government, partner with them, do what we can, but push for what our community needs. So we're definitely having those conversations. I think Marfell's nearly ready, it's quite close to selling those houses, but just so you know that, yes, we may not be the ones building all the homes, but we are having those conversations, asking what's happening, how can we partner with them, what can we do to make sure that in Taranaki people can access affordable homes, social housing is available, and warm, dry homes.
Thank you. Colin, coming to you. I am a new homeowner and I need to do some renovations. I love the idea of making our home more sustainable, but we don't have a huge budget. Would I be eligible for if the new plan goes ahead?
That's a tough question. I'd just have to find out on that one, actually. But I'd like to see it happen. Anneka is putting her hand up. She might be able to come in here and everything. I would hope that we can help out like that, put it that way.
Thank you. Anneka?
I guess that's quite a broad question, but I would say, and you know, anyone can correct me if I'm wrong, like if you're looking at, you know, putting a garage or you know, something like that on, obviously you're saving in regards to the consents, the building consents, that, you know, there's going to be a reduction with the cost of those. So, you know, if it's anything building wise or resource consent wise, you're eligible for savings there. And then it comes back to the warmer, drier home scheme, where you can put that on your, you know, on your rates and have that paid off within 5 or 9 years. Again, those are sort of the ways of doing it. So rather than having that lump sum straight away, you're sort of paying that off lately. And that's if you're looking at renovating or you're looking at doing more to increase the value of your home. Those are some really good options that the New Plymouth District Council are offering, I guess.
Sam?
Yeah, thanks, Adam. Yeah, and just echoing Councillor Carlson there. Yeah, at the moment we have those interest-free or low interest rate options available for our people. I think that's a really good start. But if you think that we can do something over and above that, that we believe that can be affordable, that can work for you and council, we'd really love to hear about that, please.
Thank you. Richard, coming to you, I lost my job during COVID-19. How can the Back on Our Feet plan support people like me?
Individually, it probably can't. But when we're looking to actually promote the use of local businesses, so there may be more jobs become available, so you can actually regain work, that's probably where we can assist, and that's where we're aiming to assist. The other, individually, it's probably Ministry of Social Development that actually will assist you. So our aim is to actually keep the businesses going and encourage more businesses as well. Which will create the jobs, but it's not an individual thing, it's probably more generic.
Anneka?
Just to add to that, also the rates rebate that we put through, we will, but you know, there is that opportunity of I know it's only a small area and it's not really helping on the big overall picture, but it will give them a little bit of leniency in regards to the expense of paying their rates and being able to defer that later on when potentially they have got a job. So it's something, it's not going to solve the problem, but it is one less thing, I guess, to worry about in the short term.
Sam?
Yeah, and just to support what Councillor Jordan was saying, I think that, I suppose for the young people that join us today is just giving you an awareness that there is a bigger picture when we work with central government. So the shovel-ready products, applying to central government to invest back here. So I think that we work hard at doing that. And if we're successful about investing back in our community, the ultimate outcome is that we have jobs for people to do. And I know that we work hard doing that. So I think there's hope in the future. I'm quite optimistic that if we can invest back in our community, especially in the next 2 or 3 years, to get shovels in the ground that will help people that have lost their jobs. So I believe that we're in an optimistic position for that.
Okay, Stacey, coming to you on this next one. We definitely need to support local for council contracts. I never understood why this practice wasn't in place before.
Yeah, we get asked that a lot, actually. I guess if you look, this is one angle, which is one I've always thought of, is if you do too much waiting for local, and every region did that, I wouldn't want to see our local businesses at a disadvantage trying to go for contracts in the bigger cities like Auckland or Wellington or Christchurch. So you want to make sure, New Zealand's a small country, you make sure there's a relatively even playing field to make sure our local businesses can grow and get contracts in other areas. So that's probably one of the reasons that we've kept the procurement as it is. But like you say, a lot of people have asked that very question, and when we've raised this in the Back on Your Feet, everyone's going, well, why wasn't this done before? So it would actually be good to see how this rolls out over the year, if there's any risks around it, or if there's any, I don't want to say like detrimental effect, but if other regions picked it up, if there was any impact on our local businesses getting contracts elsewhere in other regions, bigger regions and bigger contracts, I wouldn't want to see that happen. But hey, it might be positive all round. So it's good to see this implemented for a year, and then we can revisit it, but it is just temporary at this point.
Thank you. Richard?
Yeah, to follow on from that, the reason, one of the reasons why it's never been happened before, occurred before, and I wouldn't be necessarily in favour of it in the future, is that this will cost us, the ratepayer, New Plymouth ratepayer, an extra $7 million. So there is a cost to buying local. So the temporary measure to actually get our businesses up and running again, you can actually do these kind of things, and on a permanent basis, it would be, the cost to the ratepayer would be horrendous. So you'd either get 10% less work done, or you're going to pay a subsidising to the tune of $7 to $10 million per annum.
Richard, could you just give a bit more clarity around why you believe it would cost more to shop local, or to be working with local companies?
This is in regard to the procurement, not the shop local. That's a separate thing altogether. The procurement process, when it has a weighting of 10% towards the locals. And bear in mind that most of the actual work that the council actually puts out for procurement is actually done by local companies. So it's not that everything is done by outsiders. Most of it is done by local companies. But the small amount that is being done that could fall under this, so the cost could be about $7 million per annum. That 10% weighting towards the locals versus the companies that are outside the district.
Thank you. Sam, coming to you, piggybacking on that, will local include bigger national organisations that have permanent office workspace in the district? Will they be classed as local?
I think if there's a organisation that sits outside the New Plymouth district that works here, they become part of our family, and I think they do become local. And so if that starts happening in the future, where we get people from the regions coming into work here, absolutely, I think they would be determined as being called local. Just in my opinion, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Anneka, anything to add on that?
Yeah, from what I am aware, if we have national corporations that employ staff in our district, that they will be classed as correct me if I'm wrong, any other councillors, but that was my understanding, is that they would be classed as local because we're we're local people are, I guess, on the ground working and being paid, and that's coming into our economy. But yeah, that's my understanding.
Sam?
Yeah, that's correct, actually. Yes.
Yeah, I just want to reinforce something that I've been thinking about, and Richard brought this up around the procurement process and trying to support our locals around that. You know, with adversity brings a change and a different way of thinking. And, you know, we work in a competitive environment. So the New Plymouth District Council is a business unit, and Richard put it, hit it on the button, that there is a cost to buying local. Now, as we work our way forward, is there a new way that we can support our locals through that policy? Maybe. But Richard actually brought it up well and said that can cost us a lot of money. So I think that we probably need to revisit that. And once we get through this next year, I think the answers for that will come a little bit clearer.
Richard?
I think I have to, sorry Sam, I've got to emphasise that majority of the contracts are actually undertaken by local contractors at present. But even the small amount that we're looking to do, the weighting will still cost us $7 million.
Yeah, thank you.
Could cost $7 million.
Colin, coming to you, a question that's come through. With regards to the shop frontage funds, why is not any effort being put in about creating events as we move out of the current stage 2 from a lockdown perspective?
Just repeat that again.
So with the investment into the shop frontage, why is not more being done to create events around the CBD area?
Well, we really haven't Yeah, sorry. We really haven't really talked about that part of it at all. So that's a conversation that we can have, I suppose. But as far as those buildings are concerned, we're going to, with the earthquaking, putting that on hold for a little bit for those earthquake-prone buildings and everything. And there's a lot of heritage buildings there that there's a lot of work that can be done on those as well, because, and that's another sort of job that we could bring in for youth even, to get some of those frontages all done up and everything like that, which would be great, because that will bring a bit of sparkle to the CBD, is what we're looking for. Thank you. Stacey?
Yeah, absolutely agree. We need the activation of the events and the vibrancy, and that's definitely happening. So we already have funding for our CBD. That's just rolling over. So that'll continue. We've just put in for Innovating Streets funding a couple of weeks ago around the east side of the city, up the top end around potential pedestrianisation, events off street, dining. I know that there's quite a few events because of COVID in our creative sector have, taken a hit. And so the creative sector over the last few weeks have been getting together on Zoom across all of them, like musicians and artists and Taft and our venues, and are looking to a festival later in this year. I don't want to say too much yet because I think it's not our place. It's Taft driven, and with all the creative sector and hospitality wrapped around, to get our bars, restaurants, cafes cranking as soon as we're in the right level. So that'll be a bit later in the year. So heaps of work going on within the creative sector and the events. If you want to know more, just let me know, because I can put you in touch if you're a creative on here listening and want to get involved with any of that. But whoever asked that question, absolutely right. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of events, a lot of activation around our CBDs and towns over the coming months and over the summer.
Fantastic. Sam, question for you. Kia ora, Sam. I'd like to extend an invitation from their Most FM to community organisation to promote your services. Thumbs up from Stacey. Thumbs up from...
Most FM.
Let's do that. Yeah, that's good. I accept the invitation. Is that okay?
That's fine. Anneka, question or...
Yeah, just piggybacking on what Councillor Hitchcock was talking about. We also, as part of our initiatives, is the fees for temporary use of council-owned land and road reserve, and reductions there. So, I mean, we're kind of hoping with that pubs and bars and restaurants and our creative CBDers that are there will make use of that and throw some awesome parties and some awesome events, and I guess get creative, because there's an opportunity there to really cut some costs and throw some awesome events. Yeah,
I think one of the challenges that we have, and I support my fellow councillors 100% around creativity and vibrancy. I think in the short to medium term, one of our challenges will be around the levels that we're in. So currently we're in level 2, and we will move to level 1 at some stage. Within those levels, there are constraints around health and safety. And I think that when I think about being creative, and my challenge to our creative people and our hospitality industry is to work within those measures the best that we can. And I think that we're going to see some pretty cool stuff coming out. So I think that we're going to have events, we're going to be creative. I just think it might look a little bit different as we move forward in the next maybe 12 to 18 months.
Great. Final point that's come through, excellent facilitation. This Zoom webinar type of form has great value for future communications and understanding between the MPDC and citizens. Thanks. Is this a format that MPDC are considering with more communications moving forward? Colin? Do you want to unmute yourself, Colin?
Yes, sorry, it's fantastic, and I would like to see it continue. It's really great, and it's sort of good because it's good communication with our people out there and everything like that. So it's fantastic, and I'd like to see it continue.
Thank you. Richard?
All the avenues that we can actually engage with our community should be encouraged. And zooming is a relatively new word for some of us over the last couple of months. and we've actually found that has been extremely useful. So that it allows us to the MPDC to access and for the community to communicate with the MPDC. Excellent, all good.
Thank you, Sam.
Yeah, I think I've been really supportive of this particular media to engage, and I suppose what's been really awesome about today is that we've got a whole lot of people join us today, and they're not having to come to the chamber. The anxiety level time just drops down a little bit, because this environment that we're engaging now it's designed to have a discussion and to have a conversation, and I think it's a really good thing. This method of engaging allows a whole lot of people to join us and just be themselves and to speak freely, and I think it's a wonderful way to engage with our community. And if you think this has gone well, like that person has just told us, please tell our council, please tell us, because if we know that something's working for you, we'll push it on your behalf.
Thank you. Anneka?
You can see me nodding there, eh? That's why you came to me. Yeah, totally agree. Like, I think it's amazing, and I know that the council staff have, we've been talking about trying to do something a little bit different. And when you're hit with COVID, you've got to sort of get creative as to how do we engage with the community in a different way. And this is what's popped up. And I think moving forward, COVID or no COVID, this is a really great way. And just another avenue that we can communicate. And Councillor Bennett is right. We're able to tap into people who don't want to come and who possibly can't drive or have disability issues, where getting somewhere and actually speaking face to face is not going to happen. So people are sitting there probably in their gym jams still, listening to us. So yeah, it's cool.
Fantastic. Final point.
That's including Mr. Jordan.
Fantastic. Any final points, Stacey?
No, just thanks everyone for joining in. It's been fabulous. I think you're right, Ruth. It's the silver lining of COVID that we need to take those. This is a great idea moving forward.
Fantastic. So thank you, everybody. Please make sure that you go and click on the link and put your thoughts in. Remember, there's $500 that will be spent locally within the community. Thank you very much, and we'll see you again soon.